All right, Barak Yahal, Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Rakakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone, while learning truth 100% according to the Bible. I also want to say shalom to the elect, the 144,000 men, the prophets, the servants scattered abroad, the four corners of the earth, and shalom to the Akwaf, which are the sisters that are sincere and your children, shalom. And then today's video is going to be another update on World War III, basically the news that's taking place throughout the earth. As you can see, this video is from an hour ago, so I'm going to read the title. It says, Red Alert. Unusual nuclear codes transmitted. U.S. nuclear bombers moved to Europe, right? So you see things are just heating up as the time progresses, man. The Lord said greater evils, right? And I'm going to get that precept just to, touch on, each day that passes by, there's more wickedness or more, prophetic things that are occurring in the earth as we get closer to the ending of this eon or this age of the so-called white man. The more you're going to see evils increasing in the earth. And prophecy is constantly fulfilling day by day. As it says, though it tarry, wait for it, it surely will come and will not tarry. These prophecies are no longer tarrying, man. They're speeding up. And we know, obviously, the Lord is speeding up the time for the elect's sake, as it tells us in St. Matthew 24 and 22. And, for the elect's sake, those days should be speeding up, lest no flesh should be saved, roughly paraphrasing it. But this is 2nd Esdras chapter 14, and I'm going to start at verse 16. It says, for yet greater evils, right, meaning bad times, that those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. Verse 17, for look how much the world shall be wicked through age, so much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. So as I said, each day that you wake up, there's going to be more things happening in the earth. Because that's the time period that we're living in, that the Lord is getting ready to, judge the earth, man. Mainly this place, America, Babylon the Great. So, you're going to see more things heating up, and things of that nature. And we know that these are all of the signs of the times. And I'm going to get this precept. This is St. Matthew chapter 24, verse 6. But I'm going to read it in the ESV, right? And it says, and you will hear wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not alarmed, for this must take place, but the end is not yet, right? And we know ultimately the end will not come until that MOTBC hip is made mandatory, right? That mark that it tells us about in Revelation 13 and 16, that you won't be able to buy or sell unless you have, right? So until that hits the scene, then we know that this war will not get nuclear till that prophecy unfolds, right? But yeah, I'm going to get into this video. We're going to listen to basically what it is that, he's saying and things of that nature. Lord's willing to be edifying, just a quick little update, But before I started, I want to say fair use under 1976 Copyright Act. I ain't getting paid for this video. This is only for educational purposes only. So with that being said, fair use.
What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, a.k.a. NY Prepper. It is Tuesday, May 20th, 2025, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 16:21 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Eastern Europe. So late last night, we had 2 U.S. B-52 nuclear bombers fly down to Meron Air Base in Spain. And this is one of the main bomber bases in Europe, the Meron Air Base and also Rota down here by the Straits of Gibraltar. They got aerially refueled somewhere just north of Scotland. And from what I heard on the radio, because we were listening to them on the radio late last night, they were planning some kind of a flyover, but I'm not sure if they actually did that because they landed in Spain. So this could be a forward deployment, it looks like. Either they're going to be doing patrols in Eastern Europe or they're going to be going to the Middle East, okay? But I heard there was...
Right, and you just heard what he said they're doing drills and, exercises and things of that nature with these nuclear bombers, America and Europe. But we know ultimately that is biblical prophecy that the EU and NATO, which are, the European Union, the 10 horns and the 7 heads, we know that they're ultimately going to turn their back against the whore, America, Babylon the Great, and burn this place. So, it's made looking like they're cool and things of that nature now, but we know that this alliance won't last long, I should say, But I'm going to go to another precept. I'm going to go to the book of 1 Thessalonians, chapter 5. I'm going to start at verse 1 in the KJV. It says, but of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you, right? And we can see the seasons. You know, it tells you in 2nd Esdras 9:1, measured out the time diligently in itself. And we measuring the time with the events and things that we're seeing occurring in the earth. And we're aligning it with the scriptures. And we can see that we're at the end of this place, man. That this place, America, ain't got much long, you know. And it says, verse 2, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, so cometh as a thief in the night, right? This is verse 3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So this is the time and season in which it is that we're in, that we don't know what's bound to happen, man. We know that bad times are coming, but we don't know when exactly it's going to take place. And then you're also hearing a lot of these people, mainly Trump, you know, talking about peace, man. You know, peace deals with these tariffs and, you know, going to the Middle East. He just had a little meeting over there with the people in Saudi Arabia, and they were talking about, you know, deals and peace negotiations and stuff of that nature. You still got them talking about the peace talks with Iran. So, I mean, you know, we just in that time period of all of these different Edomites and these different heathen nations speaking of peace, man. And we know that the Lord said it won't be no peace, for when they say peace and safety, then destruction cometh. And that's what time period we're in, that destruction is about to come, man, you know. So I'm going to get back into this video just so we can listen to what it is that he's talking about, you know. But these are part of those wars and rumors of wars, man. You know, day in and day out, as you see in the media, there's always talks of wars going on, people threatening one another with war. You know, this is the time period that we're living in. The Lord says in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 8, you know, that there's a time and place for everything, a time to love, a time to hate, and a time for war. You know, and we're living in that time period now of what that's the spirit that's on the planet right now, you know, war. That's why you're seeing all of these nations, you know, come together with military might and things of that nature, all of these different wars that keep breaking loose around the world, especially over there in what they call today the Middle East. You know, damn near every country over there right now is at war with another country, you know, and this is all building up to biblical prophecy, man, to that third world's war that it tells us about in Revelation 11 and 14, all throughout the scriptures. But it said the second woe was past, and behold, the third woe coming quickly. That third war is talking about the Battle of Armageddon, man, which is going to be held over there in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, right, or the Middle East, right? And that's what everything is leading up to, which is ultimately going to lead to the destruction of Babylon the Great, America, man, and those Amalekites over there in the land of Israel, you know, those little hats, you know. But the only problem with that is we know that the land of Israel is ultimately going to be inhabited again by the Israelites, but this place America is going to be desolate, man. You know, no inhabitants here anymore after this place is hit with those nukes and the laser beams from the chariots, you know. So I'm gonna go to one more precept, right? Then we'll get back into the video. This is Malachi chapter 4 verse 1. And I'm going to read it in the KJV. It said, for behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, right? And all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, right? And this is talking about when those thermonuclear missiles hit this place, America, right along with the laser beams of the chariots of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. And it says, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, right? They're going to be melted, man, when these nukes hit this place, America. And like I said, these people don't know when it's coming. It's going to come suddenly, you know. And it says, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. So the Lord is going to destroy these people, man. Anybody that is not of the elect, you know, they're going to be destroyed in this disaster. These plagues that the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, is going to pour upon the earth, man. And I mean, pour upon this place, America, specifically. You know, we know those nukes are going to hit other various places, but mainly the target of impact is going to be America, Babylon the Great. You know, so I'm going to get into this video. We're going to listen to a little bit more of what he's saying with this update, you know, but this thing is getting more heated and intense by the day, by the minute, by the second, and that's the Lord that's doing it.
They're going to be going to the Middle East, okay, but I heard there was a scheduled B-52 flyover last Friday on the 16th, and they canceled it due to weather, and so apparently they're going to redo that potentially today or tomorrow. So that's clearly a sign to Russia, don't mess with the Baltics, okay? And speaking of the Baltics, we had a lot of reconnaissance activity over the Baltics last
night. Right. And you hear what it is that he's basically saying. You know, you basically got the U.S. sending threats to Russia, man. And then there was actually just a report that happened not too long ago. I believe it was either yesterday or the day before, where you had allegedly Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin on a phone call. They was basically discussing peace deals and, things of that nature with the whole Ukraine situation. So like I said, this stuff just keep heating up, man. And they keep telling the people that it's coming. Peace is going to come, and, times are going to get better and stuff like that. But we know ultimately it's not going to come, man. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go to that video, just touching on what I was saying, and this is actually the video. I'm not going to play it, but I'm going to show the title and the heading of the video, just in case you brothers and sisters might want to watch it. Right. This was on May 18th. It says, Red Alert, Russia to test an ICBM. Right. That's a intercontinental ballistic missile. Right. Which is going to be used in this third world war to bring forth judgment, where the Lord is going to use to pour out his indignation upon these countries, man, mainly America. And it says, before Putin and Trump call and possibly strike Ukraine with it. So like I said, again, you got wars and rumors of wars and things of that nature just constantly, being talked about in the geopolitical worldview and things of that nature. But like I said, again, it's going to come a point where it's not going to be just talking. It ain't going to be no threats and things of that nature. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua going to put the spirit on these people to actually shoot these weapons at each other, man. And we pray, Lord's will we be able to elect, so we can escape that judgment, of course. But that's what's coming. And I'm going to go to a precept just to touch on that. I'm going to go to 2nd Esdras chapter 16. All right. Bear with me. And I'm going to start at verse 13. It says, for strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. Right. That bow is talking about these ICBM nuclear missiles, man. The bow is basically like the silo that they're housed in, because the silo is what pushes up the missile, which is the arrow that's going to be shot across the earth. Right. And it says his arrows that he shooteth are sharp. Right. These hypersonic, supersonic missiles that Russia and all of these other various countries have. Right. And it says, and shall not miss. Right. Because they're not going to miss, man. They're going to hit this place, America, with precision, man. This whole place is going to be melted. And it says when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. Right. And that's talking about during the time of this third world war, when everything heats up and the Lord finally does let these people shoot off these nukes at this place, America. They're going to hit this place, man, with precision. It's going to be, and I'm going to read this precept right here. This is verse 14. Behold, the plagues are sent. And that's going to be that final plague. The nukes hitting this place and the laser beams from the chariots. Right. And it said the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. Right. And that's talking about those missiles, because when they shot from those silos and out of those submarines and all of those bombers and things that they got planned, they're not going to be able to return, man. Once they shot off, then, they're going to make an impact on where they're destined to hit, which is this place, America, man. Right. And this is verse 15. And it said, the fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. Right. And that earth is talking about is, the various places, of course, that these missiles are going to hit, but mainly this place, America. This is going to be the main focal point of that destruction, And this is verse 16. It said, like as an arrow, which is shot of a mighty archer, right, returneth not backward. Even so, the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again, right? And that's talking about, like I said before, when those missiles are shot out of those silos and out of those different types of, vehicles that they have to, launch them from, and they come in and hitting their targets, man. So that's what time period it is that we're living in, and we're getting closer and closer to that day, So, yeah, that's pretty much everything I had to say with today's video. Just some quick through the spirit, little update. Lord's willing to be edifying to you brothers and sisters that come across it. To the next time, I'm going to say shalom to the elect.